Howdy friends, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to learn how to identify
St. John's wort.
Hi, my name's Correne, and here at Spiraea, I share videos that weave together plant wisdom, holistic health, self-sufficiency with just a dash of magic. If this sounds interesting to you, I'd love for you to stick around. So for me, it is almost impossible to think about the first day of summer or summer without thinking about St. John's wort, one of my favorite plants that I love to work with. What do you know about St. John's wort?
Well, I'm assuming it was named after a guy called St. John.
Yes, it was. So it was named after St. John the Baptist because traditionally on St. John the Baptist Day, which I think is actually the 24th, of June was when these flowers were harvested, but it also became known as a summer solstice plant because right on cue, we're the day after the solstice here and my St. John's wort is in bloom. Is there anything else you know? What do I use it for in clinic? If you don't know, that's okay.
I don't know. I mean, my logic side is telling me to use it for warts, but...
Wort actually is an Old English word that means herb. So technically the name is St. John herb. So what I'll do is I'll turn the camera around and I'll show you the ways that you can identify St. John's wort to make sure you're working with the right plant. A quick note before I get to showing you the plant and how to properly identify it. I do have a video on making medicine with St. John's wort, so I'll make sure to link that because in that video I believe I make tincture and infused oil, which are two of my favorite reasons to work with this plant. Hypericum perforatum is the variety of St. John's wort that I grow and I use predominantly. So if you have a different variety, friends, I do encourage you to do your own research, dig in, find out, is it interchangeable with Hypericum perforatum? This is the one that most herbalists tend to use, but not all, because we don't all live in the same place and don't all have the same growing zones. If you want to dive deeper into plants and really get to know them, how to use them safely, how to formulate, that's when I want you to check out my membership platform. I've got an entire class devoted to St. John's wort, including all of the safety precautions you need. So if that's your nitty gritty and that's what you really like to learn about, there's also details in the description below for that. All right, friends, here are my St. John's wort plants. So the common name, as I have said many times, is St. John's wort. The botanical name for this plant is Hypericum perforatum. Now, I don't have a lot of sun here today. I'm gonna do my best to zoom in on one of the leaves here because I wanna talk to you about how it actually got the name perforatum. See, this one you can kind of see it. If you take a leaf, there it is. Okay, I'm holding the camera as steady as I can. If you take a leaf and you hold it up to the sun, you will actually, it'll look like the leaf has tiny perforations, little holes. You see those? There's a fun story associated with those. So again, you're looking for a leaf that is what we call entire, which means it doesn't have any teeth or lobes. It's smooth edges, it's round and sort of oval shaped as you saw, and you hold it up to the light and you'll see what looks like tiny perforations, which is how it got its name perforatum. And if we go back in history, hundreds of years, we find out that St. John's wort was actually used in exorcisms because they believed that they could trap the evil spirits in the perforations of the plant. So traditionally this plant was hung over beds and in doorways to help protect people. And so that's actually how it got the second part of its botanical or Latin name, which, I mean, I love this kind of stuff. I geek out on stories like that, so I think it's really fascinating. So from a botanical standpoint, the way the leaves move up and down the stem or how they are attached to the stem is what we call opposite, meaning they are directly opposite each other, not alternate. So again, we have that kind of round oval shape, no teeth, no lobes on these leaves. Again, I kind of caught those perforations in there. What looks like perforations, there aren't actually any. Little holes, if you hold it up to the sun, is really easy to see that way. But now we're going to take a look at the flower structure. So Hypericum perforatum has 5 petals, very clearly identifiable, with prominent stamens too. So again, this is something that is very characteristic of this plant. So take a close look at the petals of the flower. But another thing I want to talk to you about is one of the chemical constituents that St. John's wort is known for. So St. John's wort, the Hypericum part comes from a chemical constituent called hypericin. And I'll turn the camera back around because if you squeeze the flowers that haven't opened yet, the chemical constituent hypericin is actually red in color, which is, if anyone's ever made St. John's wort oil before or tincture, it turns red when you use fresh flowers. And that is that main active ingredient that we're looking for. So let's turn that camera around. So you're more likely to find it on like smaller ones that haven't opened yet. I just want to make sure I get that really beautiful red for you guys. So here, let's take one of these. Okay, and I'm going to squeeze it. And then if I check my fingers, look at that. That's not blood, friends. That is hypericin, that chemical constituent that I was talking to you about. So that is an excellent way to know you have St. John's wort. You give those unopened flower buds a squeeze, something like this, and if your fingers turn red or a red pigment comes out, then you're pretty darn sure you have St. John's wort. Golly, it's hot. This is actually a cooler day. We've been under a heat wave here in Southern Ontario. Let me know in the comments what the weather has been like for you guys. It has been, this Germanic Scandinavian gal is not a fan of this kind of heat. So St. John's wort is a perennial in my area, meaning it comes back year after year. Now it is susceptible to, and I can't, I know it's in my brain somewhere, but I can't remember the name. I'll write it underneath. There's a certain type of beetle that tends to attack St. John's wort plants. So one of the things that I do to ensure that I always have a healthy abundance is I plant Hypericum on multiple places on my property and in different years. So this was planted 7 years ago when we moved here. A couple years after that, I planted a new batch in the backyard. A couple years after that, I planted some in some garden beds elsewhere. So that way, if the beetle attacks, there is some information saying it's in its third year when it tends to happen. It's interesting, knock wood. I've been pretty lucky. I have had something decimate my stinging nettle this year, and I'll film a separate video on that. So it happens, right? So I like to have it in a variety of different places, but generally speaking, it is a perennial and does come back year after year. Pollinators really like it, and so it's a good one to plant for that reason. I, every year, make oil from this plant, because from a topical standpoint, it's excellent for first aid, especially any neurological like sciatica or nerve pain. Everybody knows St. John's wort for being a great antidepressant and to help with things like anxiety, but it's really good at repairing nerve tissue as well. It's one of the main reasons I like to work with it. So I make tincture almost every year, and I make infused oil from this plant. But like I said, I've got a video on that, so I'm gonna link it. If you want more detailed information, how to use this plant appropriately, how to navigate some of the contraindications that it does have, because it is photosensitizing, I invite you to check out Weavers of Plant Wisdom, which is my monthly membership platform. Really accessibly priced. You've got over 2 years, access to 2 years worth of lessons at this point, as well as all the handouts I've created. So if that sounds like something you're interested in and you want to really dive into this knowledge in a way that I can't get into on this platform for various reasons, I invite you to check that out below. Now, if you've got some questions on how to identify St. John's wort and some basic information about its medicinal properties, I'm always here to help. You guys know what to do. And until next time, this is Correne from Spiraea Herbs, wishing you health, wellness, and a happy and abundant summer season.